And we are live. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to another wellness weekend with me, Kathy Raneses. I'm the in-house life coach at Centro Holistico. And joining me today, so excited to have our first special guest ever, Coach Chappy Callanta. Hi, Coach.
Good morning, Kathy. Thank you for having me.
No, thank you for saying yes to this. I'm just really excited about this talk, no? Kasi for the past year and a half, I'm guilty of this. My routine when it comes to like moving my body has kind of gone from probably like a 7 down to a 1. Like in terms of my motivation, being motivated to work out. I'm usually very excited to like walk my dogs and stuff like that, but lately not so much because of all the ECQ
Yeah,
restrictions.
yeah.
ECQ, the gyms are open one day, they're closed the next. So it's been kind of frustrating, and I know hopefully I relate to a lot of people.
Uh,
Sana hindi lang ako. Kailangan ko karamay.
I think
Um, yeah, I'm wondering, Coach, like for you in your practice, have you been like seeing a certain pattern ngayong pandemic?
yeah. Well, how you described it is very accurate. So people are, of course, stuck at home,
Mm-hmm.
like everybody. So there has been a shift to home-based routines, which has been good. However, even before the pandemic, there was some data out that home-based routines aren't very sustainable. This was before the pandemic,
Yeah.
all because of habits and how people perceive the home as a
Mm-hmm.
place of rest, diba? At when you go home naman talaga, you want to make sure that you have a relaxing environment. You want to
Yeah.
make sure that you're switching everything off, kumbaga, and
Mm-hmm.
going into your rest mode. However, we're all nowadays we're home all the time. Eh.
Yeah.
So there has to have been a shift, or there should have been a shift towards having some form of physical activity at home, and that hasn't been easy.
Yeah.
So I've seen people have struggled with it, but thankfully, I mean, judging from my clients, one of them is Dr. Candy, for example. They've been getting through that hurdle, that boundary, or that board, no, that's stopping them from working out at home. But yeah,
Mm-hmm.
it's a struggle. It's something that's continuously been a struggle. I'm
Yeah.
hoping that more people are getting into it. Yeah, that's why there's this show, diba? Para we can help them through that.
Exactly. I think it really comes like it just there just needs to be some sort of awareness around our behavior and like what we're doing. And tama ka. Like when we're at home, we would rather kind of binge in front of the TV, sitting on the couch, eating our snacks,
Yeah.
rather than, yeah, like working out in the garage or, or anything of that nature. So sige, coach, for those who are like complete couch potatoes and are kind of thinking about, okay, I really want to start working out. What is the main benefit of moving your body, or having that workout routine, in terms of health and wellness?
Okay, I'm glad you asked that question because a lot of people the majority of people who work out, they get into it because they want to lose weight, diba? So
Mm-hmm.
that's always been the number one reason, historically, why people want to exercise or work out. Nowadays, there's a bigger reason why we should, and that is the evidence that has been seen with people who are physically active and the adverse effects of this virus that's going around, and
Yeah.
how people who are generally more physically active suffer less of
Mhm.
the effects of this virus. So that's one of the reasons. And if you ask me, that's the main benefit of being physically active. I'm
Yeah.
not even saying exercise per se. Kasi when you say exercise per se, people, exercise, ayoko yan.
Yeah.
So I'm just
Dami
trying,
resistance sa word
yeah.
na yan.
So I'm just really trying to promote physical activity in general, and that can be in
Mhm.
the form of many other things. Just basic movement, being more mobile around the home,
Mhm.
doing household chores, for example, and just standing up more often than sitting down. Simple stuff like that. Of course, if you can, a good exercise routine will always help you.
Yeah, like I think I'm guilty of that too. Parang for the past year and a half, like kung hindi ako nakaupo, nakahiga. you know, and it's just I don't think it's doing me any good.
Uh-huh.
And, but yeah, I think like that really is the routine that we kind of fell into. And that's kind of the habit that a lot of us have developed, no? Like since okay, I'm stuck at home, nobody needs to see me. A
Yeah.
lot of us then parang our goal for working out is to lose weight because we want to look
Uh-huh.
good. And since like there's nobody naman to look good for because we're stuck at home, that kind of falls to the wayside.
Yeah.
Um, so coach ngayon, in terms of like moving forward, like how would you ideally want your clients to view working out? Because like for example, for me, my experience of working out hasn't been the most positive. It is because I feel na yun nga, like may kulang sa akin, like I need to
Uh-huh.
lose a few pounds.
Yeah.
So it's always coming from this space of there's something wrong with you. So
Okay.
I've never really like fully, for example, embraced the idea that this is for my health because for decades I've been taught that oh you do this to look good.
Which is in itself fair naman. I mean, a lot of people do it to look good, and that's fair.
Mhm.
If that's your motivation, then go for it. One of the things that I always mention is you have to be clear with your intentions. So exercise in itself has to be seen, and physical activity and movement has to be
Mm.
seen as an essential part of your day. Essential meaning if you don't get any movement, it's the same thing as if you don't get any water or if you don't
Yeah.
get any food for that day. It has to
Mhm.
be viewed as such. And to be honest, the fitness industry hasn't been very good in promoting it in that way. I mean, we've been promoting it in a way that you see all of these muscular men, and
Yeah.
and the people in skimpy outfits. Nothing wrong with showing what you've worked for, but it's giving the wrong message. Na
Mm.
parang you have to look like this in order to belong to this
Yeah.
kind of people, or in order to earn the right to exercise.
Yeah.
And that's really, even if they're not outwardly saying that, when people see that, there's that effect, and we can't
Yeah.
discount that effect. So
Mhm.
that's what I've been trying to do. I've been trying to promote fitness and wellness in a very holistic manner, in a way that people can understand and people can say, "Hey, I'm a regular person. I'm an average Joe, so to speak. I can do this. I can exercise, and it's not generally because I want to look good. It's because
Yeah.
I want to stay healthy and
Yeah.
stay in this world for longer. I mean, I want to stay here. I want to enjoy my life. It's quality of life, and
Yeah.
that's what we're trying to promote."
Exactly. Yeah, and totally agree with you 100%. I think yeah, there is that kind of the workout look, and it can be intimidating
Uh huh.
if you are like starting from like a zero total couch potato to wanting to move your body, and then you look around the gym and everybody is like an 8 or a 9 in terms of their fitness level.
Yeah.
um so I think in a way like being stuck at home and committing to working out or moving your body a lot more is a good place to start because you don't have to compare yourself to
Yeah.
the other people at the gym. Really, it really
Mm.
is just you versus yourself and how you show up for yourself
Uh huh.
every day,
Yeah.
right?
That's
um
also. Oh, sorry.
no, please go ahead.
Yeah, I wanted to add. That's why when I do have clients, I have a fitness assessment, and the
Mhm.
assessment that I give, it's not like, okay, can I do this many bench presses? Can I do this many squats? So part of the assessment is really looking at your daily routine and seeing how physically active you are already.
Mhm.
You're correct. It's really you against yourself,
Mhm.
and but if you don't have a baseline on yourself, then it's hard to plan afterwards. So that's the first step, really
Yeah.
being self-aware.
Mhm. So that's what, and that is part of what you call holistic fitness or practical
Yeah,
fitness. Is that
yeah,
right?
yeah.
Perfect. So, coach, sige. So, for example, um, like if I come to you wanting to make better choices in terms of, committing to working out, because there are a lot of coaches out there na fitness coaches who,
Uh-huh.
of course, the gyms are closed. They've kind of gravitated more towards working with clients online.
Yeah.
But I feel that the hardest thing with that kind of setup is really the commitment of of the client, like showing up and doing
Uh-huh.
the work, right? It's kind of like at
Yeah.
Centro, like the doctors, our Centro doctors can tell you what you need to do, ano yung kailangan tanggalin sa diet mo, but unless you do it,
Uh-huh.
walang mangyayari. Sayang lang yung pagpunta nyo and sayang lang the session. How do you get around that, the whole online phenomenon?
So there are many tools that you can use. For example, well, in my own personal setting, the way I do for, online coaching, there's a lot of involvement depending on the fitness level of the individual. When I say fitness level,
Mm,
it doesn't necessarily mean how strong you are, how fit you
yeah.
are, but it's more of how in tune you are with your habits. Because exercise is really a habit, and if you don't strengthen that habit in the form of cues that you can look in an everyday setting and cues that will make you exercise, then you will not be in a supportive environment. So if a beginner client comes into me and it's the first time for him to exercise, I know that he will need a lot more cues for him to begin that exercise routine.
Yeah.
Now, if somebody who's been working out for 3 years, for example, comes to me, I know already that okay, this guy knows now when it's this time of the day, it's time to exercise. So
Mm-mm.
my first step is to know where my clients sit. Parang if are they in the far end of the spectrum, beginners, or are they been have they been exercising for long periods of time? Usually,
Mhm.
experience translates to stronger habits, at
Yeah.
least in getting into that exercise routine or flow.
Mm-mm.
So again, to answer your question, I try to hack, quote unquote, their environment,
Yeah.
increase those cues around their house. One of the
Mhm.
best cues is time. So I try to make a point to for them to follow the appointments of the
Mm.
workouts. That's the best cue to think. Okay, it's 4 o'clock. It's time to exercise. We
Yeah.
try to be consistent in that. Once you build consistency, then you allow a little bit more freedom for them to choose. So it's
Mhm.
kind of like it's a give and take of holding their hand early in the process, but
Yeah.
as they progress, really setting them free and letting them decide more things for themselves.
Yeah.
Because if you keep on holding their hand, then they will not grow it.
Yes,
And
exactly.
what happens if you're not there anymore? So the goal is really to build healthy and fit individuals for the long term.
Yeah. I love that because it's very sustainable, and we go back to a very basic soft skill, which is really building that habit and then kind of starting where the person is at instead of trying to force them na ito yung gawin mo and this is how
Uh-huh.
you're supposed to do it.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's very practical. Like I work with some clients on health as well, and we talk about that a lot. And yeah, like setting them up to succeed, even if it's as simple as if you work out in the mornings and you feel that pinaka nahihirapan guys getting out of bed and putting on your gym clothes, sleep with the gym clothes.
Yeah.
Para pagising mo, like sapatos na lang yung susuot mo. So yeah, I love that. It really is that set up for them to get excited to like build the literal muscles and also
Yeah.
this muscle of a new habit.
Yeah.
Um, so coach, during like, for people who like work with you, commit to working with you, what are the pinaka roadblocks that people experience? Because I'm guessing like a lot of people are working from home,
Uh-huh.
are working out at home. They maybe don't have that much equipment. They're probably starting from scratch again because they've been inactive for a very long time. And we know once you stop working out at the gym, para kang balik to zero ka, diba?
Yeah.
And you have to really build that up again. What common kind of like roadblocks do you get when people start resisting the process with you?
There are a lot. So the first one is always time.
Mm,
So it's funny, even if no, we're not really living in a 9 to 5 anymore, although some of us do. It's still the most common roadblock. Do I have enough time to exercise? So that's
mm,
number one. Number two is really commitment. So a lot of people just can't commit to it because they have other commitments as well. So they always say, "How can I take care of myself if I can't even finish my chores? If I can't
Mhm.
even take care of my kids? If I can't, I
Mhm.
mean, especially if you have kids like we do,
Yeah.
kids always come first, diba? So we
Yeah.
have to make sure the kids have their homeschool done, that they're healthy, and all of
Mhm.
that. So we sometimes, I mean, even us, we're guilty of forgetting about our workouts and our exercise routines. So that's always
Yeah.
been a boundary, or sorry, a barrier. So that time, commitment, and a smaller, but which we've solved already. At least I have with my clients is space. So they say
Mm.
there's not enough space in there. We can't move around as much. There are many things that you can do in a small amount of space. If you have a space for a yoga mat, basically
Mhm.
you can get the workout in.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's another barrier. And then the last one is budget. So they feel like they don't want to spend for themselves or spend for their health. So what
Mhm.
happens there is they end up looking for free stuff. So
Yeah.
free stuff online, free stuff, and sometimes it works. Sometimes you can like strike
Mhm.
gold in a program that you can do,
Yeah.
but it's gonna be all over the place. So you're not sure if it's the right one for you.
Yeah.
So yeah, so those are the four. So it's time, commitment,
Mm.
space, and then budget. Those will be the big barriers.
Okay. So like how do we get around that? So for
Yeah.
example, if I say na wala kasi akong oras, I'm so busy, etc., etc., what would be, a good count? Because a lot of this honestly is also in our head. Like these
Mm-hmm.
are the excuses that
True.
we come up with
True.
in order to tell ourselves now I'm not gonna put myself first. I'm too busy. I need to attend to other people.
Yeah.
So if somebody says that they lack the time, what would you
Uh-huh.
kind of say to that?
So the first thing we do is as in we lay down their schedule. Especially if
Mhm.
I find a client who is very resistant to this.
Mhm.
So we lay down their schedule and then we look for time blocks. So well, time blocks in itself, that's one way that we also do. So you have a time block for work, you have a time block for self care, which that's where exercise falls into.
Yeah.
Now, if there's really no time, so some people come to me na talagang they work from 7 in the morning until 10 in the evening. So what we do is we look for pockets of time, 15-minute pockets of time. And then
Hmm.
I give them like short intermittent bouts of exercise, 10 to 15 minutes. And then they do it multiple times in a day. So
Hmm.
again, can it replace a longer session? Probably not in the same effect, but they still get some form of physical activity in, kumbaga,
Yeah.
the minimum. So until they can find that time block, then those 10 to 15-minute increments, they do help. Now, in the sense of commitment, we do a goal setting session if that's
Yeah.
going to be a problem. So we try to make that distinction that taking care of yourself will help you take care of others. If that's going to be
Yeah.
your barrier, we try to make a distinction of really what their goal is and what is the requirements to get to that goal. If their goal,
Mm.
for example, is to lose 10 pounds, let's say it's to lose 10 pounds, we
Yeah.
try to break it down into smaller goals,
Yeah.
and then we try to see what we need to do on a weekly basis to hit those small goals
Yeah.
in order to contribute to that big goal.
Yeah.
And then if it's space, and like what I said, it's just really a small area that you
Yeah.
need, and then you
Mhm.
can follow a routine already. And if
Yeah.
it's budget, then that's where we kind of be more creative. Me personally, para I do plans, and then there are many ways that you can go about that.
Yeah. And I think like there's also this misconception that like once you start working out, it gets expensive because you have to spend on equipment, you have to
Yeah.
spend on your gym apparel, you have to spend on like all these supplements that you see your friends taking, etc. And it adds up. So is
Well,
is is that
yeah.
necessarily true?
There is a world that is true.
Mhm.
Like I know a lot of coaches and clients who, not my personal clients because I try to educate them on that, who
Mhm.
really spend. And you don't need to look far. I mean, if you look at one of the most popular athletes out there, LeBron James, he
Mhm.
spends $1.5 million a year just on his body. So that's a lot of money, diba? But
Yeah.
that's what it takes for him to be in that category of like elite athlete.
Mm-hmm.
So yes, in a way, there is some investment involved. I don't wanna, ayoko lokohin mga tao. There
Yeah.
is gonna be some investment involved in the way, in the form of equipment, if that's what you want, and more so, but more so, the investment will really be on your time. I found that
Mm-hmm.
really the investment is really going to be on your time. However, yes, there will be. You need to spend a little bit on programming. You need to spend a little bit on. But what I look at that is I try to make a distinction that it's an investment. It's front
Yeah.
loaded. You invest now, so in the future you don't need to pay a lot on, for example, hospital visits, etc.,
Yeah.
etc. That's,
Exactly.
we try to make them realize that this is something that's, if you have insurance for, coverage, you have
Mm-hmm.
exercise for prevention. So you
Yeah.
want to prevent to get to that level.
Exactly. I like that. And I like that way of thinking also. It's also parang like work, like your fitness level and your level of investment, it kind of dapat sumasabay. So, like don't invest in an entire home gym if you
Yeah.
don't work out naman talaga. Like
Yeah.
work your way up there. Kind of like LeBron James, hopefully not to like 1.5 million a year. Pero para at least like sulit and ramdam mo rin yung ginagastos mo and it's not just very expensive supplements that you end up peeing. Right at the end of the day. Okay, we have a question from Doc Sasa. She says, is there an exercise program for weight gain?
Yeah, of course. So that's called hypertrophy. I'm guessing that what you want to gain is muscle, of course, diba? We don't want to gain fat naman eh. So when we
Mhm.
say weight, we want to quantify it as muscle and not adipose tissue or fat. So in that case, it's called muscular hypertrophy. So we're
Mhm.
trying to build muscle. Now, ito parang yung mga ladies, sabihin nila, ano ko, ayoko maging macho, ayoko maging malaki.
Yeah,
So
that's the
don't,
myth, right?
diba,
Yeah.
diba? That's the myth. Don't worry, it's gonna take so much volume, so much time, and so much effort for you to get to that point.
Yeah.
And the reason being is because we just don't have the same biologies. I mean, women
Mhm.
will different than men. That's nothing, political. That's just how it is.
Yeah.
But to answer your question, yes, and that means that you have to slightly increase the time under tension that you get for your muscles. So, for example, just a quick example, bicep curls. This is your time under tension. So you see how
Mhm.
fast I'm doing it. You might need to slow down that eccentric contraction or going down. So when you try to increase that time under tension, you end
Mhm.
up increasing the adaptations that will lead to hypertrophy. So it's called time under tension, and there's a
Got it.
it should be part of the program talaga, but you need to
Yeah.
increase that.
So, coach, like on that topic, like you are a strength and conditioning coach.
Yeah.
So, like how is that different from, let's say, like if I go to the gym and, I go to the gym, they give me a trainer, they put me on a program, and
Yeah.
it's basically like a circuit program. That's the
Okay.
most common that I get. So, how are you different? Like if I want to work with you?
Honestly, it's a label. Honestly, I mean,
Okay.
in the Philippines at least, because here there's no governing body in
Mm,
fitness. I mean, unfortunately. However, what I am is a certified strength and conditioning specialist. So what that is that I really am part of a governing body, albeit in the U.S.
okay.
So yeah, so that means that people have seen. I that means that I passed the test,
Yeah.
basically. However, if you call yourself a strength and conditioning coach here, that usually applies to athletes because athletes will look for strength and conditioning coaches.
Mm,
So it's not as if we are higher than fitness coaches. We just offer a different expertise.
yeah.
So we can get you, and again, that's why, because there's no governing body, a fitness coach can fairly call himself a strength and conditioning coach and vice versa. So,
Mm,
I mean, it's
got
all
it.
labels, but when you call yourself that, it's because you're trying to speak to the athletic population.
Mm,
And then, well, I early in my career, I decided that I wanted to be known as that, as somebody who can work with athletes. I took the credentials that I needed to take, and then I built my career around that. Along the way, of course, I worked with fitness, so I also work with fitness coaches. So my label is really, I don't really think about it anymore right now, but parang I just call myself coach. Ngayon na lang.
got it. Yeah, no, because I think like that's the thing as well with, like somebody who's getting into an exercise program, or like, they want to work on goals. I feel that that your community, like, it's fairly, like, we don't really know much about it, right? It's not like,
Yeah,
oh, I go to the hospital
correct,
and,
correct.
depending on my needs, like, I know who to go to.
Mm.
But like with a fitness coach or with a strength conditioning, whatever coach, like you're kind of left to work with whoever is at the gym that you're enrolled at.
Yeah, I mean,
Mm,
you nail that right on the. I mean, it's perfect. It's a perfect description of what we are. I mean, we might be getting off topic, but that's really how it is. You go into the gym, and the person who you see na parang, oy, mukhang maganda katawan nito, or oy, parang
yeah,
you wanna emulate yourself, di ba? Parang
yeah.
ganun. So that's usually what happens. That's because that's not anybody's fault. It's the fault of the governing bodies who have not
Mm,
really done anything for that.
yeah,
So there's a question actually here which might be related to that.
exactly. I was
Kasi,
gonna I was
yeah,
gonna lead up to that
go
because,
ahead.
I think it really is the education, and, like, what's the difference of going to any gym
Uh-huh.
versus working with you. So
Yeah.
Sancho asks, how do you charge your clients, and what's the criteria that makes up your rate? I think that's
The,
super important because,
yeah,
number one barrier to entry is basically like how much it costs. And,
I know.
if I don't know the results I'm getting, and you're charging me this much, like, I'm gonna have to
Yeah.
think about it.
That's a very fair question. I'm glad that was asked because not everybody wants to talk about the money.
Yeah,
So, yeah, I know. There are no rules. You can charge as low as 100 pesos. You can charge as high as 10,000 pesos.
hmm,
However, it's there's the average is really around about 500 pesos up. So that's usually the bottom. How I do it na lang, because that's how I can speak to myself. I
hmm,
charge based on the level of engagement. So the higher the engagement is, or sorry, I should say the higher the how much I
how much time you spend with the
yeah,
client.
yeah, I'm blanking on the term, but how much time I spend on the client. That's a good enough.
Hmm.
And so the higher that is, so if I see them like on Zoom, if I see them, if I give them programs even outside of Zoom, then I charge a premium rate. And then I also have a kind of program na parang I just give them the program on a weekly basis. They follow it on an app, and then the app shows them how to do it, and then
Yeah.
they do it on their own. If they have
Hmm.
any questions, they can ask me. But I don't see them like this. I mean,
Yeah.
we don't meet. And then there's a bottom tier pa wherein I give them the program, it's a document, and then they just follow it. But we base it on what they need, and then I meet them. I don't even meet them. They get to ask questions like once or twice a week. So I charge my clients based on the level of how much I'm involved on
Hmm.
them with them on a daily basis.
Okay. And this is no matter what level they're at.
Yeah, I mean, I charge my professional athletes the same way I charge my 12-year-old no, preteen clients. So
Yeah.
I charge them the same way.
So yeah. So I hope that answers your question, Sancho. Yeah, that
Yeah,
makes total
Sancho.
sense.
Yeah.
You want to be paid, of course, for your the time and effort that you put into that you put into the client. Um, so, I think it's pretty amazing. I love the way that you kind of lay out your coaching. From what I'm hearing, like, you have your assessment where you can
Uh-huh.
kind of gauge the level. You have your options for how much, kind of like how much hand holding or how much
Yeah.
support they would need. What would be kind of a sensible recommendation for you, for somebody who's like listening, that maybe doesn't really have a workout routine, but they want to
Uh-huh.
start? Where can they start?
So the first step again is being self-aware. So if you
Hmm.
don't know, and there I do have a fitness test that I'm gonna make available publicly starting May. So there are many others that are online.
Hmm.
So that's the first step, being self-aware of your current fitness status and your health status.
Hmm.
From there, kasi if you don't know that, then it's gonna be hard to plan moving
Yeah.
forward. You don't know your starting position, di ba?
Mm.
So that's the first step. Find out how fit you are. Find out if you have any health problems. Find
Mm.
out if you have any joint aches. So being and that's how I built that document.
Got it.
Parang how you can find that out for yourself in the comforts of your own home.
Got it. So yeah, it sounds very practical. So it's really
Yeah.
up to the person talaga to want to commit. And when I work with clients who are working on like weight release goals or anything that involves physical fitness, like there's a lot of resistance
Uh-huh.
because the experience with working out is because I have to work out because of some level of self-loathing. Somebody called me, like
Yeah.
somebody called me
Yeah.
chubby, or I
Yeah.
was shamed into it because of a relative, or etc. And what I love about what I'm hearing from you is it really comes from an approach of self care. And it's
Yeah.
really, like I love myself enough that I'm going to put myself first. So
Yes.
whether it's part of your morning routine that you commit to, I plan on, loving myself first in the morning by doing this so I can feel better about myself. To I want to like know what it feels like to have a stronger body, because a lot of the time we're so focused on the number, we're so
Yeah.
focused on oh, I'm underweight, oh, I'm overweight. Not a lot of people realize that this this whole physical exercise is for us to be able to actually feel strong and for us to
True.
be healthier for longer. No, like
Yeah.
we're so focused on like the aesthetics, like what we want to look like.
True.
And I right and I think that journey of self-love happens sometime in between committing to workout, and then when you get those roadblocks and the self-sabotaging of, oh, I worked out naman for like 2 weeks straight, papahinga muna ako ng 1 week, and then balik ulit ako.
Yeah.
So coach, does that approach work? Oh, I put in the time naman last week, so I'm gonna go easy on myself this week.
Okay. So a lot of people, and this is a hard truth, a lot of people are impatient.
Mm.
So the fitness industry has parang always been pressured to give quick results, na parang instant results. That's why you see all of these programs na parang 7-minute abs, 8-minute abs, 4-minute workouts. It's all over the place. Parang the so it's because people want results quickly. So this is what I'm trying to shift, and it's a hard shift to be honest.
Yeah.
It's really a sustainable approach. It has to be a sustainable approach. And the way we look at that is we look at that's why I mentioned earlier, we cut down those big goals into
Yeah.
smaller goals
Mm-mm.
so that you keep the client going and you yourself you keep going. If you hit these smaller milestones first,
Yeah.
parang they're baby steps, but they are still steps.
Yeah.
So I try to make them realize that parang, coach,
Mm-mm.
I'm not losing weight, coach, I'm not getting any thinner. So we
Yeah.
look at other metrics. That's why yung fitness test that I designed, hindi lang
Yeah.
siya weight. That's just one of them. Weight and body fat percentage. That's just one
Yeah.
metric. Look at your strength. You were correct. Look at your strength. Look at your balance. Look at your
Yeah.
flexibility. Look at the quality of your work. Look at the quality
Exactly.
of your sleep. So there's a lot of metrics that exercise actually affects. And
Mm,
we have been taught to just look at the mirror and say, "Oh no,
exactly.
this is not working." And so
Yeah.
it's really being them. I mean, helping them be more aware of those metrics and seeing, I do see some changes. I do feel some changes, rather
Yeah.
than just looking at one of them.
Yes, and I feel like, yes, that is for me what kind of stands out with holistic fitness. It's really, we're not going to obsess over the number on the scale, or how small or big your thighs are. It really is, at the end of the day, like, how strong do you feel? How more coordinated are you? Yeah, what is the quality of sleep and stress? And I think like
Yeah.
the weight release or the weight gain is more of a bonus.
It's yeah. I call it a healthy side effect.
Yeah.
Parang it's really just parang okay. I'm losing whether I lose weight or not, and
Yeah.
that's really where you hit that level of exercise commitment that
Mm-mm.
even if you don't see a change in weight gain, or
Yeah.
sorry in your weight, you're still
Mhm.
gonna do it. That's when you know that okay, this has turned into a habit, and this has turned into something that's really sustainable.
Yeah. And that's
Yeah,
that's where you kind of start chasing that workout high because you
correct,
feel
correct.
it now, right? Like after you work out, you feel so good about yourself and you just want to continue. The workout high has nothing to do with, oh my gosh, I probably lost 2 pounds after that workout. No, it's like
Uh
I
huh.
feel good and I
Hmm.
want to do it again tomorrow. And
Yeah.
that's where it becomes a lot more sustainable. I don't think many coaches talk about that.
No, because to be honest, and this is exercise is hard.
Mm,
I mean, we don't want to sugarcoat it. It takes effort. And really, when you look at how fitness is marketed, you see all of these intense individuals, diba?
yeah.
Parang, oh, I gotta lift this much. Oh, I'm lifting 100 pounds. And then people look at this and they say, and the majority of people, and I've always been in contention with this because fitness is really a niche market. Eh. Parang when you do it that way, you're speaking to the individuals who already like that, parang
Yeah.
who are already into that. But that's
Mm,
a very small percentage of the population of the world, to be
yeah.
honest. Parang it's a very small percentage. And I've always been interested in targeting those people below that parang
Mm,
niche of
yeah.
parang bodybuilders or parang ganon. So not
Yeah.
everybody wants to have that physique. A lot of
Yeah.
people just want to be healthy. A lot of people just want to be more productive. A lot of people
Yeah.
just want to feel stronger, and
Mm,
that doesn't take as much quote unquote work as
yeah.
those people. Like if you
Mm,
look at movies, you look at Thor, you look at
yeah.
ganun, di ba? Parang, you know how much work that takes? That takes like really patterning your life around
Around
exercise.
working out. Yeah.
Yeah, you have to wake up, work out, eat, work out again, eat, work
Yeah.
out again. It's not practical.
Yeah.
So
And
people look at that and say, it's too lofty of a goal. So why will I
yeah.
even start? So
Yeah.
and then so that's no, that's not the ultimate goal. There are a lot of ways. I mean, it's perfectly fine to do 3 sessions a week and
Mm,
just be and just maintain that and you'll be fine. I mean, it's really an uphill battle that I'm trying to
mm.
fight. I mean, trying to reverse that notion that hey,
Yeah.
it's okay, this is okay, being in this level is okay.
I totally get that because I feel that a lot of the time that's why the idea of working out feels so intimidating because it's kind of like in our head we expect to like look like Thor or to look
Yeah,
like Wonder Woman
yeah.
and it's just so unattainable that we're like, you know what, I'm not even gonna try, you
Uh-huh.
know,
Correct.
because in my head that's what fitness looks like and I'm so far away from that that
Uh-huh.
I don't even want to do it at that point. So yeah, I think
True.
that's a really good kind of like good way of looking at it. Okay, we have a question from Densho. She goes, what are some good workout options slash fitness resources if you can't afford a personal trainer?
I know Densho from my course actually. So um, the best way is to go into these group classes.
Mm,
So if you look around Facebook, if you look around online, there because of the pandemic, a lot of coaches lost their livelihood.
yeah.
So those who were creative enough, they built these small communities online,
Mhm.
and the better I believe that's a better alternative than just looking at a random video and then following that because it looks cool. So
Yeah.
because at least there's some form of mentorship happening there. So there's
Hmm.
somebody actually listening to you, which is important. It's important in fitness. So
Yeah.
I'm blanking on their names, but there are a lot of groups out there. Just look around Facebook. Coaches Lab is one of them.
Hmm.
I mean, just look online, look on Facebook. I suggest that rather than doing self research and trying to build your own program from scratch.
Mm,
I mean, it's not free, but it's a lot cheaper than getting your own one-on-one personal trainer. So because it's a
yeah.
group, so you're
Mm,
sharing like a time. So
yeah.
yeah, and then also that's another way. If you like me myself, if you're a group, then you can share my time. I mean,
Mm,
you can share the rate.
yeah.
For example, so if we can meet on Zoom, that's a good thing about Zoom. Eh. Parang we can meet parang 10 of you at the same time. So it's a group class. You can share the rate. It's a lot cheaper than going one-on-one if you can't afford
Mm.
it yet.
Yeah, and I think like also like kind of do your research as well, right? Like
Yeah.
with the classes or the groups that you're kind of joining. I think that's the thing. Like you can log on to YouTube, and there are so many fitness trainers, fitness influencers, who like they share their workouts, but then it's a workout that works for them,
Yeah.
not necessarily for you,
True.
but because
True.
of the way they look, again, it's kind of like, oh my gosh, like they look like Wonder Woman or whatever. Like there
And you're
was this
sold.
one. Exactly, and you're sold, but then the workout doesn't work for you, or
Yeah.
it's not, that's not your level, and then you feel bad about yourself kasi hindi ka makasabay, and
True.
you kind of give up, which is frustrating. So really do your research first as well, so you're not, you're not setting yourself up to fail. Okay, we have another question here. And how do we influence our children in engaging into increased physical activity and exercise? I love this is super. I get this. I have a pamangkin, and ever
Uh-huh.
since the pandemic, he would sit in front of his computer for online classes, and then he would stay there because all of his friends are online, all the games that they play are there, and
Yeah.
he never gets off of his chair. Tatayo lang siya para kumain, and that's
Yes.
it. Hmm.
Yeah. And that's common. I have a lot of clients who are like that. And
Hmm.
it's not their fault. I mean, it's the fault. It's the fault of the pandemic. And
Yeah.
also, you know how children are very impressionable. If they don't see you doing it for yourself, then who will they
Ah.
pattern it after? So it's, I mean, I'm not trying to make sermon or sinesermonan yung mga parents. Pero honestly, the parents have to be emulated. So if the parents aren't exercising, if they're not physically active, then
Mm.
the children will not have anybody to pattern it after.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's a big thing in our household. We try to be as physically active as possible. We do have 3 kids, and
Hmm.
my eldest daughter, who's 8, always brags about how heavy she can squat.
Wow.
So yeah, I mean, it doesn't have to be that level, pero they know the importance of it. They know the
Yeah.
importance of exercise.
I love that because a lot of the time, like we're all guilty of the, oh, you should do this, we love to give advice to other people, to our kids, but we don't necessarily do it. So it really is
Yeah,
about walking the talk.
yeah,
Yeah, and when it comes to kids, talaga monkey see, monkey do. So if they see
correct.
you outside or biking or whatever, they're gonna wanna join you.
True.
So yeah, I love that challenge to the parents, to be that example. Okay, Doc Candy has a question. She says, "What's the minimum recommended workout or movement regimen per week?"
Okay, so the WHO recommends 30 minutes of purposeful exercise or
What does
purposeful
that mean?
movement. So it's not something that's parang because you're doing household chores or because it's I'm blanking on the term, but it's something that you set aside the time for it. So it's purposeful. You're actually working out as opposed to being part of your job or being part of your daily routine. So that's the recommended. Uh, 30 minutes of physical activity, okay? Purposeful physical activity on a daily basis, okay? Now, in terms of strength training, which is what I promote, 3 to 4 times a week for the majority of the population. If you're a beginner, we start at 2 to 3 times a week of
Mm,
strength. Now, why did I choose strength training as my form of exercise? Because of the evidence that points to the effects that it has on the human body. I mean,
mm,
on a holistic setting, and also because that's the activity that you do not get on sorry on a non-purposeful setting. Because if you are generally active, you are getting some form of cardiovascular training already. If you're
yeah.
walking around, you're hitting that lower spectrum of cardiovascular training, which is low to moderate.
Okay.
So you need to hit that higher spectrum, which is moderate to high, and you get that with strength training.
Mm,
So that's why I chose strength training from the very beginning, because I knew that it was something that everybody needed to do.
yeah.
Everybody has to get some form of strength training. It doesn't
So
mean you need to lift weights, pero You need to be able to support your body, to move
Mm.
your body.
Yeah.
So push-ups, calisthenics, stuff like that.
Okay. Because yeah, in my head, when you say strength training, it's kind of
Yeah.
like lifting weights, or like using your body weight in order to like help develop more muscle.
That's a common misconception. Strength
Mm.
training, when you say strength training, oh, you're correct. People will say, do I need to lift weights? Well,
Uh-uh.
eventually you will have to lift weights, but you yourself, you are a weight. So if you can carry yourself in the form of
Mm.
exercises like push-ups, um, body weight squats, body weight hinges, those kinds of exercises, then you are doing some form of strength training already.
Mm-hmm.
It's just a different label. So, for example, calisthenics, gymnastics, but in the core of it all, you're getting stronger. You
Yeah.
might even say yoga and Pilates, for in some regard. But in the core of it, you're getting stronger. Your body is getting stronger, as opposed
Mm.
to cardiovascular training, where you're really trying to target a certain system, which is your cardiovascular system and your
Yeah.
respiratory system. So you're trying to
Mm-hmm.
train those systems.
Yeah.
You get some form of work on your legs if you do the running, if you
Uh-uh.
do rowing, arms, but it's not really
Yeah.
strength training. So yun yung kailangan natin i-target. And that's where people para say, eh, ayoko na, magka-cardio na lang ako. And then they
Mm-mm.
end, but there's so many positive effects of strength training.
Mm. Like I know a lot of my friends, they get into strength training because, well, again, it's more for aesthetics. It's because, oh, like I know I'm doing this program because I want to grow a butt, or
Yeah,
because
yeah.
you know
No, that's fair. That's
I
fair.
want to get, I want to get better looking legs, like that.
Yeah.
That's been my experience of strength training. So yeah, I guess let's talk later. I want to know a little bit more about that, because that's what I get. Like if it's guys, it's yeah, like you basically, it's basically kind of like weightlifting, etc. If it's girls, it's yeah, like they make you do a lot of squats, so like you get a better looking butt at the end of it, or like
Okay.
you get better looking legs. But again, like if the goal is very aesthetic, it won't be as sustainable in terms of you wanting to go and work out just
Yeah.
because your why isn't big enough,
True.
like
Yeah. True.
like once you get the big butt or whatever, then what, then you stop.
Yeah.
And
And
then you come back after when you feel that you kind of you need to work on it a bit more. And yeah, the values, or like your big why isn't as aligned
yeah.
as, oh, I want to live till I'm like 100 and see my
Yeah.
great grandkids and
Yeah.
still be able to do the pretzel yoga stuff at like 90.
True. And you're right. The big why, that's a big factor. But also, a lot of people ask for, like what you mentioned, quote unquote toning. So, muscular toning. So, sabi na,
Mm.
Coach, ayoko lumaki, gusto ko lang mag-tone. Whenever that happens, I really, really roll my eyes inside of me. Because it doesn't really exist. Parang, I mean,
Mm.
if you do strength training, your muscles will get stronger. They might get
Yeah.
bigger, but wag kayong matakot kasi hindi kayo magiging kamukha ni Hulk. Hindi kayo
Yeah.
magiging kamukha. So it takes, again, so much effort to do that. And
Yeah.
another thing, you can transform fat into muscle, and you cannot transform muscle into fat. They're two separate things. So
Oh,
they're two
okay.
separate. Yeah, it's not
Yeah.
like, okay, my fat will now become muscle, or my muscle
Yeah.
will
Yeah.
now
Yeah.
become fat. It's not like that. So when you say toning, you're really trying to burn fat. And when you're trying to burn fat, the more muscle you have, then the more potential there is to burn that fat. And then your
Mm.
muscle will show. So ganun
Mm-mm.
siya. Parang it's not like you're toning up your muscles. There's no such thing.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, that makes a lot more sense. I don't know. In my head, for some reason, like your first explanation of like how they're like interconnected or like they go together, for some reason, like that's how I was thinking about it.
Yeah.
So yeah. Oh, nga naman. So
Mm.
yeah, so you burn fat, you want to build muscle, and
Yeah.
like bodies are different, right, Coach?
Yeah.
So we aren't necessarily all going to look the same if you go onto the same program. Some
Yes,
of
definitely. That's really the reason why I've been very particular about marketing body shape and
mm,
physique, Because again, well, it's just really my own personal dogma and beliefs, I guess. Na I don't wanna set that goal for people. Na parang you have to look like this, because
Mm,
you're correct. We all have different bodies. We all will end up, if you get to your genetic potential, like this is the maximum that you can get, we will still look differently. We will not all look like Thor. Will not all look like Wonder Woman. So it's really being self-aware of that and
mm,
accepting
yeah,
that really na parang I'm different, and that's okay.
yeah. So yeah,
Yeah,
at the end of the day, just be kinder to yourself, because a lot of the
true.
time, I think when it comes to physical fitness, we set the most ridiculous expectations for ourselves, right?
Uh-huh.
Oh, I'm working out this week, so dapat in a month, like like I should have abs na, and I should
Yeah.
have like 0% fat, etc. And then once that doesn't happen, we get disheartened, and then we just completely stop. And I think as well, like during the pandemic, like we all have been struggling to a certain
Hmm.
extent.
Yeah.
So I think a lot of, at least with the people that I talk to, a lot of their parang barrier to entry to committing to working out has been that mindset of, I don't want to fail again. Like I feel like I'm already failing in all these areas of my life, and I don't want to pick up a workout routine and then fail at this too. It's just one
Yeah.
additional possible thing to just suck at during the
Yeah.
pandemic, and I don't have the space to deal with that right now. So coach, if people who are listening, if there are people who are struggling with that, what would your advice be for them?
Okay. So my first question is: have you ever gotten a coach? A
Mm,
lot of people try to do it themselves, and some people do become successful in that, and kudos to them. But if you've been trying to do it yourself for the longest amount of time, and then you're not seeing any results, then maybe it's time to get somebody to help you in that regard.
mm,
That will be my number one um, advice. If you're the kind of person who doesn't want to get a coach, then build self-awareness. What have you been doing? So a person that I look up to is Tim Ferriss.
mm-hmm.
So everybody knows Tim Ferriss. So Tim Ferriss writes down every workout that he has done. I think it's been going on for the past 15 years, and he has them in these little notebooks.
Yeah,
And then what he does is, di ba, he's mahilig siya sa data eh. So
yeah.
binabangga niya yung workouts with how he has felt, or if there was a major thing that happened to him.
Mm-hmm.
So, and then it's all logged. So if you really want to do it yourself, log everything. That's my tip.
Mm,
Be very specific on what you do. Write them down,
yeah,
and then banggain niyo with what you are feeling, with what ano yung results
yeah.
that you're getting, and then
And
through
what you're
time,
eating as
yeah,
well.
yeah, what you're eating. So yeah, just kasi ano eh, parang you're doing it yourself, diba? So you have to increase your likelihood for success. So you have to gather a lot of data. That's really how you can increase that opportunities. So write down every workout, your sets, your reps, the weight you're carrying,
Mm-hmm.
or what you do if you run, how far, how long you run, what your heart rate is, write down what you eat, and then look at the results. So those are the three things that you look. And then if you're not getting any results, maybe it's time to change it. So tweak
Mm-hmm.
it. So yeah, you can experiment on yourself in that way, or
Yeah,
you can save yourself the hassle and get a coach. and then the
exactly.
coach
Since you
and
guys
the
know,
coach
you
can
guys know what you're doing anyway.
yeah, and then the coach can work with you because there's some things you can't see. Some things you really
Yeah,
can't see. Parang there are certain things that parang you will not accept, and then the coach can
yeah,
help you through that.
yeah. I mean that's all. Whether you're a life coach, a fitness coach, like all
Yeah.
we really do is we look out for your blind spots. There are things that you're not aware of. There are belief systems that are there that aren't serving you anymore. They might when you were a kid, but not now. And that's what a coach challenges you to do. And they're your accountability buddy at the end of the day. They want to make sure that you're doing well, and they want to cheer for you and
Yeah.
celebrate your successes. But they will also give you tough love pag kailangan.
Yes. Yeah.
I think a lot of people, kasi they focus on the tough love. Like, oh my
Uh-huh.
gosh, like it's gonna like boot camp style. They're gonna yell at me and I know, but like no, like pick a coach that you can work with. Um, that whose style that you like. I think that's important also because different coaches have different styles of how they coach,
Uh-huh.
and like just look for one that works for you.
True.
Um, right? Okay. We have one last question, Coach. Is it possible that we can maintain a certain weight for the whole of our life, or is there a range of healthy weight?
It's not possible. I mean, because we do grow, so there will be fluctuations in our weight. It's not like we're gonna weigh this much for the rest of our lives. And if you do, then that's, I mean, I don't think that's very healthy.
Yeah.
So there will be some. It's normal to get these fluctuations. The way classically it's been done is through BMI. So if you fit the body mass index, but I don't really believe in BMI. I stopped recommending that a long time ago. So what I look at is body fat percentage more
Mm.
rather than the weight. Actually, it's the body fat percentage I look more
So
because
why the body fat percentage, Coach?
that relates more to health. So if you have a lot of adipose tissue, specifically around the midsection, then that is kumbaga that's related to a lot of health issues if you have a lot of of adipose tissue. And also because if you weight train, which is what I promote, you will gain some muscle, diba?
Yeah.
So there is an up there. I'm sure you've seen a lot of memes out there na parang the same person weighing the same weight but iba yung itsura nila. So the
Yeah.
same person weighing 125 pounds, but with 15% body fat might look different
Mhm.
from somebody who weighs the same but has 30% body fat.
Yeah.
Diba? So I
Yeah.
look at body fat more, and there are a lot of resources online. But generally, for men, if you get below 22%, that's good already. If you get below 10%, that's where the abs will show. If you're interested in that, for
Mhm.
women, it's higher because women have tendency of a lot more adipose tissue.
Yeah.
So
We carry more
26,
fat talaga.
yeah. So 26% is for the women. If you go below that, then that's good. And the way you get it, there are a lot of scales out there that are quite affordable already. You step on them and it tells you what your body fat is.
Mm,
Yeah.
interesting. And I think also like yeah, like in terms of maintaining a certain weight, it isn't as practical. We go through different stages, like our
Yeah.
body goes through different stages. Um, and what I was supposed to say something. Oh, like I think also like in our like being Asian, we're guilty of being skinny fat a lot. Like it doesn't necessarily we don't necessarily look unhealthy,
Yeah.
but if you check, a lot of us are.
Yeah. And a lot of people carry visceral fat, which is the
Yeah,
unhealthy if you have
internal.
fat, yeah, around your midsection, around your internal organs. So yeah, that's dangerous, and that doesn't you don't see that. I mean, walking around, you have to some scales get it also.
Yeah. So I think that's something that you would want to look out for because a lot of people are like, no, like I'm pretty skinny, I'm underweight pa nga. But
Hmm.
then once they get checked, let's say at Centro, but oh, you're skinny.
Uh,
So you're not necessarily as healthy as you thought you were. You keep
yeah,
eating charon and
that's
that
true.
goes
That's true.
somewhere at the end of the day. Sige, Coach. So we're almost at the top of the hour. I guess let's leave our viewers with what is your advice for practical fitness for people
Hmm.
who want to start today? What can they do?
Cool. Yeah. So, like what I've been always saying, build awareness on your routines, on your daily routines. Check for pockets of time where you can have some form of physical activity. It might be as short as 15 minutes. It might be a full hour. And then really commit to that time. So put it in
Mm,
your calendar, put it in your schedule. If you have a work block in your time, you should have a workout block also in your time.
yeah.
So put it down, write it down, and if you can, set as many alarms as you can, because you have to increase your likelihood of success. So you have to increase the support of your environment. Another
Yeah.
thing is you let somebody else know about what you're trying to do. Have an accountability partner. So
Mm-hmm.
sometimes it's the form of a coach, sometimes it's the form of your loved one, or
Mm-hmm.
sometimes it may be the form of a colleague. So have somebody be aware of what you are trying to do. That was accountability for you. And then finally, goal set. So set some goals, set some realistic goals.
Mm-hmm.
Goals have to be time bound. So don't just, and it has to be specific. Don't just say, I want to lose weight, I'm going to work out. How much weight do you want to lose? When do you want to lose it by? If it's
Yeah.
too big of a goal, parang I want to be, if you're 200 pounds, I want to be 150. Break it down. Break that 50 pounds into 10 weeks, for example, 12 weeks, for example. It becomes a lot easier if you look at these big goals into small, if you cut them into smaller chunks of time.
Yeah.
In terms of the recommendations, try to get at least 30 minutes, like what the WHO says, of daily physical activity.
Yeah.
Walk around if you can, spot the opportunities around you. If you're going to do household chores, be as active as you can. Yeah, so there are many practical things that you can do, but build
Yeah.
self awareness first and
Yeah.
be very, very clear on your goals.
Yeah. I love that. Thank you, coach. And I think I just wanted to add to that as well, since this is practical holistic fitness. We're not just working on the outside, right? We're also working on the inside. So maybe part of your goal setting is look for your big why. Why do you want to
Yeah,
do this ba talaga? And challenge that. Do you really want to just lose weight, or do you want to feel better about yourself?
true.
Because you wanting to feel good and feel strong is definitely going to bring you further than you just wanting to release a certain amount of pounds. And that will definitely make it a lot more sustainable. So yeah, thank you so much, Coach Chappy, for spending an hour with us here at Wellness Weekends. Where can people find you if they want to, get in touch or sign up for a program?
Thank you again, Centro, and thank you, Kat. It was a very very fun hour. So if you wanna know more about me, social media is the way to go. So Coach Chappy Callanta on Facebook. That's my public page. Or you can go to Instagram, where I share a lot of fitness information. But if you want workout tips or if you want also entertainment, I also have my TikTok. So yeah, I answer questions there more. So if you have any
Mhm.
questions, you can ask them there. And then yeah, but mostly on Facebook. So Coach Chappy Callanta. And then coming in May, if you wanna be part of a group, na fitness, a group of fitness individuals who want to get into fitness. Sorry, I'm gonna be launching a new program for group fitness. So there's gonna be a community, and then people can sign up, and then you will be given access to a program that you will follow for the whole month of May, and
Ooh,
maybe moving forward some more. Yeah, so that's gonna be launching in May.
exciting. So yeah, thank you so much, Coach. I think my one of my biggest learnings from this episode really is not to be too hard on yourself when it comes to
Yeah,
working out, and just to challenge the expectations that we have in our head, because it's been drilled to us by the industry that this is the look, right?
yeah,
And
yeah,
if
yeah.
if you don't have the look, then you're falling short. Um, and I think really reframing it in terms of like self-loathing, which is how a lot of us get into working out,
Yeah,
to a form of self-love. So waiting for that workout high and then sticking to it because it works for us.
yeah.
Yeah.
That's
So
well
yeah,
said.
thank you so much, Coach. Thank you to everybody who tuned in and asked questions. Please join us again next week. And for now, yeah, enjoy your Sunday. We will see you then. Bye, guys.